Taylor Decker free on the market, and Ben Johnson already picked up the phone and called him personally, not through an agent, not through a middleman. The Chicago Bears head coach himself called the left tackle who protected Jared Goff while Johnson was building one of the most lethal offensive systems in the NFL up in Detroit. That call already happened. Justin Rogers of Detroit Football Network spoke directly with Decker and confirmed it. And what that means for Caleb Williams' blindside in 2026 is exactly what you're going to understand in the next few minutes. But here's the part you cannot miss. While Hollis Hall is moving pieces at left tackle, there's another conversation that simply will not die this week, one the Bears have been chasing since last year, a name that makes entire offenses shake. And on March 25th, something shifted in that player's contract that made an NFL executive, someone who knows this business from the inside, tell The Athletic that Cleveland is planning to trade him. That conversation is not dead, and if that trade happens in the next 6 months, the Bears are going to be the name on every single headline, and when we're done processing that, there's a 15-year veteran, 9 Pro Bowls, who proved in 2025 that he still has fire left in the tank, who is available right now. Who Bleacher Report already directly linked to Chicago, and who Ryan Poles can use to solve a problem before the April 23rd draft without committing a single dollar of future cap space. That Monsters of the Midway changes the entire picture of this offseason. All of that in this video. If you're part of the real Bear Nation and you trust Ryan Poles' process, all I'm asking for is a like and a subscribe before we get into it. Navy and orange. Let's go. Taylor Decker, left tackle for the Detroit Lions for nearly a decade, the same man Ben Johnson watched become a Pro Bowler, the same man who protected Jared Goff while Johnson was building one of the most dangerous offensive systems in the entire NFL. And now, he is a free agent. The Lions let him go. Dan Campbell called him a stud, said he would always be a Lion, said he gave everything to the franchise across 3 different coaching regimes, and then they showed him the door. Why? Because Decker refused to take a pay cut that would have helped the team manage the cap. In a world where Patrick Mahomes took less money to keep Travis Kelce around, Decker said no, and Detroit processed him and moved on. He is 32 years old now, and he is on the open market. And guess who already picked up the phone? Ben Johnson, not through an agent, not through a third party, personally. Justin Rogers of Detroit Football Network spoke directly with Decker, who confirmed that Johnson reached out to him as a friend, not as a head coach recruiting a player, as someone who genuinely knows him, respects him, and shared that transformation in Detroit with him. And that, fam, is a competitive edge that no other team has on the table right now. Now, before everybody starts screaming that we already landed our left tackle, we need to understand exactly why this situation is this urgent. Ozzie Trapilo, our starting left tackle, the man who was supposed to protect Caleb Williams' blindside in 2026. He went down in the postseason with a torn Achilles tendon, and Ben Johnson at the NFL owners' meetings was completely straight with everybody. It is a serious injury, and that all options are on the table at left tackle. All options, bro. That is not the language of a team that feels comfortable at the position. That is the language of a controlled emergency. And when you look at the internal options the Bears have right now, you understand the urgency. Braxton Jones was benched last season. Jedrick Wills has not played a single offensive snap since 2024 because of injuries. And Theo Benedette, with all due respect, is not a starting caliber player in this league. Not yet. So the real question is Taylor Decker the answer? Look, I could be wrong here, but the numbers do not lie. PFF gave him a 67.9 overall grade in 2025, ranking him 41st out of 89 qualified offensive tackles. In pass blocking, 69.5, ranked 45th. In run blocking, 62.1, ranked 57th. He played almost 900 offensive snaps. He allowed 33 pressures, including 2 sacks and 3 hits. He was flagged for 5 penalties. Is that the elite left tackle we are dreaming of for Caleb? Honestly, no. Not in 2026, but here's the tactical narrative that actually matters. This does not have to be a permanent solution. Spot rack projects. Decker lands on a 2-year, $42 million contract, which comes out to $21 million per year in average annual value. And the most sensible proposal I have seen is a 1-year bridge deal while Trapilo recovers from that Achilles. An insurance policy, a quality guarantee on the most important blind side in this franchise. And the Johnson factor is not something you can put a number on, bro. This man built his offenses around tackles who understood his concepts, spacing, timing, leverage in zone protection schemes. Decker already speaks that language. He already lived that philosophy in Detroit. The adaptation window is basically zero, and that has real value that no PFF score is going to capture. Bleacher Report already named him one of 8 aging free agents who could be genuine difference makers in 2026. Sports Illustrated calls Chicago the #1 destination for Decker. And the connection with Johnson was confirmed by the player himself. The only real obstacle is the cap. The Bears are literally last in the entire league in available cap space right now. We are talking less than $250,000 available. But Ryan Poles already proved with the Max Crosby pursuit that he knows how to maneuver in a tight cap situation. Restructures trades, strategic cuts. There are paths. And here's the point that nobody wants to say out loud, but I am going to say it anyway. If you do not address left tackle before the draft, you are putting Caleb Williams' blind side in the hands of Braxton Jones or an injured tackle, and fam is not protecting your investment. Not when you have a franchise quarterback with this much upside. Ben Johnson already picked up the phone. Now the ball is in Ryan Poles' hands. And speaking of Ryan Poles making moves that shift the whole conversation, there is another topic that absolutely will not go away this week. Because while everyone is talking about Decker, there is a much more explosive name that is still alive, still breathing, still on the market in a way. A name the Bears have been chasing since last year, and the latest reports say the door is not closed. 270 pounds of pure, uncut terror. The 2025 Defensive Player of the Year, the man who broke the official NFL single-season sack record with 23 sacks in 2025, 23. That is not football. That is a cheat code in human form. And for weeks, the narrative was simple. The Cleveland Browns extended his deal 4 years, $160 million, and closed the conversation. Andrew Berry said they have no interest in trading him. Mike Garafolo of NFL Network backed that up. Case closed, right? Not so fast, because on March 25th, the Browns made a modification to Garrett's contract that moved the date of an option bonus. Technically, that adjustment makes him easier to trade, and an NFL executive who spoke anonymously to The Athletic's Mike Sando did not hold back. The report of the option bonus date moving later for Myles Garrett makes me think Cleveland is planning on trading him, an NFL executive. Anonymous, yes, but someone who understands this business from the inside, and when someone like that speaks up, it is worth listening. The logic from Cleveland's side is not crazy either. The Browns are in the middle of a real rebuild. If Myles Garrett is 30 years old right now, and it is going to take 2 or 3 years before Cleveland is competitive again, what is the point of keeping him? They could get at least 2 first-round picks for him, picks that actually build a future. And from the Bears' side, the argument is even simpler. Chicago is in win-now mode. We have the quarterback, we have the offensive system, we have the weapons. What we do not have is a pass rush that genuinely strikes fear into opposing offenses. 35 sacks last season, y'all. PFF graded us as the 8th worst pass rush team in the entire league. And in the NFC North, you are staring down the offenses of Detroit, Green Bay, and now Minnesota with Kyler Murray. You cannot get to the Super Bowl without being able to hunt quarterbacks. Myles Garrett fixes that instantly, definitively. Fansided's Ernesto Cova put the numbers on the table with a concrete trade proposal. The Bears send pick 25, pick 60, the 2027 first-rounder, and Dayo Odeyingbo. Cleveland gets picks to rebuild. Chicago gets the best edge rusher on the planet. It is a brutal price. I am not going to pretend otherwise. 2 first-rounders, a second, and a young player. But here is the argument I genuinely cannot ignore. None of those picks are going to become Myles Garrett. That is statistics, not emotion. Players who become back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year candidates and break single-season sack records are generational. Pick 25 might be very good, might even make a Pro Bowl, but the probability of that player reaching that level is low. And at the same time, I am going to keep it a buck with you. There is a very real reason this probably does not happen before the April 23rd draft. First, the cap. The Bears have less than $250,000 available. That does not even cover a practice squad long snapper's salary. To bring in Garrett, Poles would need to make aggressive cap moves first. Second, Cleveland is publicly saying they are not moving him. And as long as Garrett does not submit another trade request, Barry can hold that position. The most realistic scenario I see is the 2026 trade deadline in November, or possibly next offseason if Cleveland misses the playoffs again and Garrett loses patience. But what this week taught us is that the conversation is not dead. The contract was modified. An executive inside the league noticed, and the Bears are the team that needs him most and can offer the most for him. Save this video, because if Myles Garrett gets traded in the next 6 months, the Bears are going to be the name on every single headline. Now, while Garrett remains the big dream, there's a real option available right now. Today, that has not gotten enough attention. A 15-year veteran who proved in 2025 that he still has fire left in the tank, and the Bears are already on his radar. Cameron Jordan is 36 years old, 15 seasons in the NFL, 9 Pro Bowls, and in 2025, after everyone had written him off following just 6 combined sacks over the previous 2 seasons, he went out and posted 10.5 sacks. 10.5, man. Bleacher Report's Gary Davenport already linked him directly to the Bears as a possible destination. And honestly, it makes sense on multiple levels. First, Jordan is not getting a multi-year deal at 36. We're talking a 1-year contract. That means the Bears do not commit future cap space and do not block their ability to draft an edge rusher in 2026 or sign one in 2027. It is a 1-year insurance policy. If it works, great. If it does not, you walk away clean. Second, Jordan said publicly he is open to leaving New Orleans if the money does not make sense for both sides. The door is open. Third, Ben Johnson himself acknowledged at the owners' meetings that the coverage issues were more visible last season than the lack of pass rush. That suggests the Bears are not feeling desperate pressure to spend a first-round pick on an edge rusher, and if Poles genuinely trust the depth of this edge class in the draft, Jordan could be the bridge piece next to Montez Sweat while they find their long-term guy in rounds 2 or 3. Is Cameron Jordan the permanent solution? No, but as a transition piece, while the roster continues to develop, while they wait to see what Odeyingbo and Austin Booker can actually do with real opportunity, the value is real. And on the draft side of things, Poles was very clear at the Combine. Best player available at pick 25. He literally said that forcing picks based on need is how teams get themselves into trouble. And he is right tactically, but the fan concern is legitimate. If edge rushers like T.J. Parker, Akeem Messidor, Cassius Howell, Gabe Jacobs, and R. Mason Thomas all come off the board between pick 25 and 57, what are you actually left with in round 2? Look, I could be wrong, but if the Bears do not solve the edge rush through free agency or a trade before the draft, the pressure on Poles at pick 25 is going to be enormous, and if he passes on the position again, the fan base is going to have serious questions. Oh, and one more thing, and this one genuinely stings. The NFL officially closed the Bears' appeal on the compensatory picks for Ian Cunningham, 2 third-round picks that Chicago felt they absolutely deserved after their assistant general manager left for Atlanta as their new general manager. The argument was solid. Cunningham himself said, yes, he is the decision maker in Atlanta. The Falcons backed that up, but the NFL ruled that Matt Ryan, Atlanta's president of football, technically holds the primary football executive role under league rules, and that Cunningham does not qualify under that definition. It is frustrating. The spirit of that rule exists exactly to protect minority executives who earn promotions. Cunningham clearly earned one. But the NFL used the technical definition as a shield, and now the case is closed with no further appeal possible. 2 third-round picks would not have changed the universe, but they would have given Poles more ammunition heading into a draft where every single pick matters. This Bears offseason is not giving you a single second to breathe. Taylor Decker with Ben Johnson on the phone, Myles Garrett with a mysteriously modified contract, Cameron Jordan available, and the April 23rd draft getting closer with questions still unanswered. Everything points to the same conclusion. Ryan Poles has to act. Caleb Williams deserves protection on his blind side. The pass rush needs a real upgrade, and this city, the Windy City, has been waiting too long to watch Da Bears finally lift that trophy. I trust Poles, I trust Johnson, and I trust that this roster, with the right moves, is capable of doing something very special in 2026. If you believe that too, drop it in the comments right now and tell me, do you sign Taylor Decker? Do you sell the farm for Myles Garrett? Or do you trust the BPA at the draft? Because I genuinely want to know what you think. Bear down, Chicago, Navy and Orange forever. See you in the next one.